Welcome back to the Joe Show. Now, a few weeks ago, I was able to bring you a really fantastic story about one kennel in Amberg, Germany, and how they really work to support former Marine veteran who is in need of some help. So today I have Master Sergeant Lockett. He's with 1-2 Operations, and Sergeant First Class Smith. He's with the Air Assault OCT Falcon team over in Hohenfels. And I just want to jump right into this. Patrick, go ahead and share with us more about what your kennel does and just more of the background behind that.
So we're Haus Amberg German Shepherds. We're located in Amberg, Germany here. Been established since 1969. The kennel was a family kennel, was taken over from me from my grandfather, who passed away in 2002. My mom then took it. Then myself and my wife, we took over the kennel and continued the legacy of my grandfather. So what we do is we breed and we train German Shepherds. We show German Shepherds. We compete in IPO, which is a protection sport that is internationally known. We train dogs to be companions for people and families.
Now, Chris, tell me more about Uno.
I got Uno from Patrick about October of last year. We had Uno for a good 18 months before we donated him to Garrett and his family. Uno was trained in obedience. He was a very good companion dog, went everywhere with us. He was also trained in protection work, and he made the right fit to be a companion dog.
Tell me the story about Garrett. How did that connection get made?
Okay, so my mom was actually visiting Germany, and I was doing the right thing, of course, eavesdropping as she was talking to my wife in the kitchen. And I overheard that she knew a double amputee veteran that was requesting currently a companion dog, and the VA said they would get back to him in 2 years. I didn't feel it was right. I didn't think it was appropriate. And at that moment, I really decided that I was going to donate Uno to Garrett. Of course, I didn't have Garrett's number. I never met him. So I looked him up on Facebook. We FaceTimed, talked a few times. I told him exactly what Uno was trained in because I didn't want him to be surprised. We went from there. And from that point forward, it was probably about 15 days, believe it or not, until Garrett actually had Uno.
That 15 days was kind of chaotic. There was a bunch of back and forth. A lot of people got involved. I want you to share with me kind of what ended up happening so that you were able to get Uno back to the state.
I started emailing people, companies, organizations, asking if they had any grants available that I could apply for. Any way I could get money to make sure that Garrett does not have to pay for this. Quad A got involved. The director of Quad A, Mr. Bill Harris, had a good friend who's the CEO up at United. So United Airlines got involved. United got a young lady by the name of Molly Oliver involved who owns Mum's Dogs. And this happened over the course of probably about 48 hours. So we had no help. And then out of the blue, 48 hours, everybody came out of nowhere and made sure Uno got to the States. I ended up flying with Uno, thanks to United Airlines, to hand deliver Uno to Garrett and spend about 2 days with Garrett going over training and do's and don'ts, essentially.
Chris is being very humble right now, Taylor. So Chris called me that night where he said he was having some heartache, and he asked me, do I support it? And he kind of told me the background of the story. And it was kind of appalling that we got a Marine vet, a brother in arms, that's struggling. I mean, he's a double amputee, stepped on an IED in Afghanistan. And this guy's shouting out for help, and nobody's helping him. So I said, hey, Chris, it's going to get expensive. Let me think about it. Let me sleep about it. And let me sleep on it. And then we talked the next day. And that's when Chris, really went, full speed ahead and started putting out the feelers. His wife did the same thing. My wife was helping out. This is a good news story that had a team effort. And at end state, the credit honestly goes to Chris and Garrett for what they did.
Thank you so much, Patrick and Chris. We are really looking forward to coming back just after a few songs so that we can learn more about what happened with Uno and with you whenever you got to the States and just kind of the rest of that story. Welcome back to the Joe Show. If you are just tuning in right now, we have Master Sergeant Lockett from 1-2 Operations and Sergeant First Class Smith from JMRC here, and they're sharing the story about Uno and the journey of being able to donate this dog to a Marine Corps veteran. He's a double amputee. Now, Chris, I want to ask you more about what it was like when you got to the States and Garrett was there and you had Uno there. What were those days, those couple of days that you got to spend with them together? What was that like?
I wouldn't say it was a significant emotional event, but I would tell you that it was very difficult for me because I felt very strongly about what I was doing, but I did not want to involve so many people. You know, Uno was my dog. This is a dog that I hand-fed, I trained. And when I say train, I mean every day. We're talking at least 4 hours. If I had to be at work for PT, I'd be waking up at 3:30 in the morning to make sure I'm training my dog before I even go to work. So it wasn't simply, I wouldn't even simply call it a hobby. It was more than a hobby.
Lifestyle.
It was definitely a lifestyle. Yeah. That's a good word for it. So needless to say, all this time and effort and even money put into this dog, and at a whirlwind, I'm handing him off to Garrett. So there was a lot of emotions involved. Garrett, amazing person. Phenomenal person, phenomenal family,
Yep.
Awesome wife, awesome kids. I can't say enough good things about him. I'm really happy that I gave him Uno. Being a double amputee, there's a lot of things that go into that. You know, Uno was taught to pull in certain situations, so we had to work with him and kind of teach him and break that habit. Garrett's very motivated. Of course, Garrett had learned a little bit of German because Uno was trained in German. So that was a little bit funny because I kind of gave him a send-ahead package. So it was kind of funny to hear him say some German words, never hearing it before, but reading it. So it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun with the family. The kids, of course, love Uno. So it was great.
That's awesome. So now you talked about how training Uno and training all the dogs that are at the kennel isn't just a hobby. It's more of a lifestyle. Tell me more about what goes into that. And so really, you know, we can really understand what that means to have given Uno to Garrett and, you know, just kind of what it means for all these dogs, what they go through.
Well, I'm the head trainer over at SV Neumarkt. SV stands for Schäferhundverein Ortsgruppe Neumarkt Umgebung. It's out in Neumarkt, and we train in the summertime probably 4 to 5 times a week in a 7-day week. In the wintertime, about 2 days a week. We are on that training facility at 1,800 when I'm off of work till 2,300 at night. If it's the weekend, we're there at 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and we're training. It's a lot of time and effort and motivation. And you got to have that connection with your dog, and your dog has to want to. If your dog doesn't want to, it's not going to work. And that's where Chris did a phenomenal job with Uno. He kept that motivation. Why? Because there was a connection. Why? Because he got up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, took his dog out for a walk, and trained with his dog. That makes the dog want.
Anything else you want to share?
I am my brother's keeper. And that means a lot. Whether in your Army, Air Force, we're all connected, Marines, we're all connected in one way. And if you can give back and you can help in any way, whether it's your time or whatever it is, I think it'd be very appreciated if you do that.
Anything else you'd like to add, Chris?
Again, the big thing for me about this is soldiers taking care of soldiers. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. And just because you're a veteran or you're retired, you're still a soldier. And if they need help, service members currently in service can help, and they have the ability to help. It's just if you want to or not. It's all about want.
Thank you so much, Master Sergeant Lockett and Sergeant First Class Smith. I say this, you know, I told you this right when you all first walked in the studio, but you all are the reason that I want to, you know, serve in the Army, the reason I put on my uniform every day. It's people like you that just are such an inspiration to those around us. And I can't thank you enough for doing the right thing, for going above and beyond what that call is. So thank you again for sharing with us. And we just really appreciate having you in the studio.
I definitely want to say thank you to my wife. She's the brains behind the operation. Jen, you're awesome. Team Hunegrab, you're awesome. Gradling Kennels. And Taylor, thank you so much for having us on the show.